I'll tell you this. I watched it, and certainly it was better than the debate, but that's such a low bar. I mean, anything short of dying would be better than what we saw in the debate. But what I saw was someone who was coughing, rambling, kept having to cough and clear his throat, who was hard to understand, a lot of mumbling still, confusing facts. And the number one thing I saw, Michael, was something that his campaign ad seemed to be praising him for. But I, as somebody who's seen this up close and personal, saw something very different, which was, his depth of knowledge on foreign policy. Okay, I'm sure he's got a lot of facts in there about foreign policy. I saw another sign of dementia, which is long, rambling, stream of consciousness soliloquies that don't seem to have a point, a beginning, a crescendo, and a decrescendo, and an end. That's how normal conversation is made. That's how normal answers to questions are provided. He wasn't able to do it. And that too is a sign. And you don't have to trust Megyn Kelly. Go ahead and Google it. Just Google exactly what I said. And you'll see lots of results come back to say that's a sign of potential brain disease, any form of dementia, and some other problems with him. So I was not encouraged by it at all. And I think the people who are saying they were they're pretending. His campaign emerged from that last night like he was Tom Brady at the Super Bowl completing the Hail Mary to win the game. That's not what happened.
Yeah. The only little nugget of a victory that the Biden loyalists, the remaining Biden loyalists in the Democrat Party, are trying to promote is this supposed vast knowledge that he has of foreign policy. But I didn't see that. If you want to demonstrate a vast knowledge of foreign policy, you have to be able to, at the very least, distinguish between national leaders and between countries. It's not just the Putin-Zelensky gaffe. He also confused Europe for China. He also, as you say, went on and rambled, didn't really articulate any clear policy vision. He seemed to suggest that he's not the commander-in-chief of the United States. So he didn't do that either. Even the one area where they say he succeeded, he really didn't succeed. And you don't need to listen to him. You can just see the effect on foreign policy of his administration, which has been disastrous. So he failed last night because what he had to do last night was reassure Democrat Party elites that he is still the man for the job, and he manifestly did not do that. And so now you're seeing the journalists come out, and they're continuing the leaks. They're ramping up the leaks. You heard this conversation between Chuck Todd of NBC and Jonathan Martin of Politico, where they're talking about how journalists for years now have been privately talking about how obvious Biden's decline is. In fact, they bring up some of the sources they have, including a cabinet official who said years ago, oh boy, things are looking really bad for Joe Biden. And so I think this actually explains why the media...
he can't make a second term.
That's right, that he couldn't make a second term in this condition. I think this explains why the media are being so vicious to Biden right now. In part, it's because they realize that he's not going to be able to make it over the finish line, and their job is to promote the Democrat Party, and they won't be able to do that. So in part, it's a little bit of partisanship. But I think the reason that they're so particularly vicious with Biden right now is because he has made them look foolish, and he has exposed them as frauds. The media and the Democrats and the Biden administration had a deal, and the deal was the media are not going to reveal that Biden is in obvious senility, and Biden is going to win. He's going to stay in the basement, and he's going to win, and everything gets to go on tickety-boo. And Biden broke the deal because Biden's poll numbers were low. Biden had to challenge Trump to a debate. He thought he could do it in a clever way by changing all of the rules and kicking out the Commission on Presidential Debates and putting it on CNN and getting rid of an audience. And he thought that he was making an offer to Trump that Trump would reject or try to negotiate the details of. Trump very wisely accepted all of the conditions immediately. And so what you saw was not the journalists finally digging into Biden. You saw, because of the Trump campaign's wisdom, you saw Biden being exposed past all of the journalists. And now I think that's what they're so furious about. They're furious that he has exposed them for what they are.
That's exactly right. I'm looking at the latest on the radio interviews that he's been giving, and speaking of his interactions with the press. And the latest we saw, this week it came out that at least 2 radio stations last weekend when he was on his I'm Robust tour. After the debate, at least 2 of the radio hosts admitted got caught just repeating the questions that the White House spoon-fed to them, gave them and said, please ask these questions. And they did it, one of whom was later fired. I mean, honestly, they both should have been fired. I've got nothing against these folks, but they embarrass themselves in their network. You don't do that. That's a hard no. I mean, I will say it's not unusual for the subject, whether it's a senator or the White House or what have you, to say, he'd really love to talk about his whatever bill. He's coming on to promote this thing he sponsored. That's par for the course in journalism. Fine. That's how you get access and you get a yes to the interview. To be spoon-fed actual questions, to be handed actual questions they want you to ask, and then to do it, no, that's a bridge too far too far. But here was another report in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel that a Milwaukee radio station is now admitting that it agreed to make edits to a Joe Biden interview at the White House's request. And this is not, like he spat on the one answer. Could you please not show that? Like that would be a normal thing, not to, try to embarrass anybody. These were substantive edits that obviously made him look bad, that they took out. For example, let me see, do I have it in front of me? Yeah. One was, and I'm only going to guess on why they took this out. At time 5:20, they removed, quote, and in addition to that, I have more blacks in my administration than any other president, all other presidents combined, and in major positions, cabinet positions. Now, it's not unusual today, in today's day and age, to hear people refer to the black population as blacks and the white population as whites, but that's not how you're allowed to talk if you're a Democrat. You are not allowed to do that. You have to use 10 other words to describe black people, and you have to capitalize black too, by the way, but not white. Okay, and then at time 14:15, in reference to Donald Trump's call for the death penalty for the Central Park Five, they removed, quote, I don't know if they even call for their hanging or not, but they said something like convicted of murder. So it seems like he was inarticulate. He was admitting a lack of knowledge about the case he was trying to prosecute, and he looked a little lost. That's not okay. If that's what you're taking it out for, because you're both on the same page about making him look good, not okay. If you weren't following the news, a massive hit to the US dollar just came in June when Saudi Arabia did not renew its 50-year petrodollar deal with the US. Since 1974, Saudi Arabia has sold oil exclusively in US dollars, and that was huge to America's global economic dominance. Now they want options other than the dollar. So ask yourself, if there's less demand for the dollar, what happens next? Look, it's reasons like this that Americans are looking at Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped tens of thousands of Americans protect their savings by converting an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. To learn more, text the word MK to 989898 and claim your free, no obligation info kit on gold. That's MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold has earned the trust of many with their education-first approach, their thousands of happy customers, and so many 5-star reviews. Consider protecting your savings with gold before the dollar plunges any further. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.